said, I'll get through as quickly as I can. He decides to leave his truck, put on 65 pounds of his gear, and run to the towers to meet up with his unit. And of course, made the ultimate sacrifice in helping to save countless lives. He really represents the kind of heroism, and many stories we don't even know of, we're not even aware of, certainly are represented by Stephen Siller and his heroism that day. And it gives me great pleasure to bring forward, and you look at this organization and what they've done, it is a model not-for-profit organization. All of the proceeds that they are raising are going back into supporting our American heroes, our military veterans, and our first responders. So with great admiration and pleasure, I welcome to the podium Frank Siller, the CEO of the Stephen Siller Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Thank you, Steve, for hosting this event here today. And so, as Steve said, I'm the chairman and CEO of the Stephen Siller Tunnel to Towers Foundation. And it is such an honor to hold that title because of the work that we have been doing and the work who we've been doing it for, like our great men and women in uniform that protects us, that most certainly, as was said just a few moments ago, that give us the way of life that we have here in America. So, so when you hear these tragedies happen, here we are in the 106th, the National Air Guard, they have the 106th, that's right around the corner out here. And you hear that their helicopter went down and 7 of their great heroes were lost. And then you hear that some of the stories of what these incredible heroes were doing, the people they were helping, the people they were saving. And then, of course, it trickles down to, but should be at the top of the list, is the family story that is so affected when something like this happens. And then the most important, when it happens to the families that have young children that are left behind. And our foundation, over the last 17 years, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, has been doing many things that we're so proud of. Nothing gives us more pride than take care of our fallen first responders and our men and women in uniform that sacrifice so much, and to be there for their families. So we found out years ago, when we built our first smart home, for the first quadruple amputee to ever survive any war, Brenda Morocco from our hometown, Staten Island, if you know where that is. Long Island, Staten Island, all right. And we went down and we visited him, and we saw the sacrifice he made for this country, and we built him, we asked if we could build him a smart home, and he accepted. And as a matter of fact, July 3rd, we just gave a smart home out here to Corporal Christopher Levy, right here in Melville, Long Island, because it was Independence Day and we wanted to give him back some of his independence. So we were doing all that kind of stuff. And then in 2014, when Officers Lou and Ramos were assassinated, we, in New York, just for wearing a color of blue, we knew we had to do something there, and we heard there was concern about their mortgages. So we started to paying off mortgages, first responders, and we saw the difference that made in their life. And then, of course, when you hear what happened here with Briggs and Ragusa and the sacrifice that they both made, we knew that we had to do something. We knew that our foundation had to take care of these families left behind. So we started a fundraiser, which the foundation kicked in the first $100,000 for both officers, for total for officers Briggs and Ragusa. And we were raising money to pay off their mortgage. And the community stepped up, as always. Americans stepped up, as always. And we were getting there, very close to making that commitment a reality. And so many good people have stepped up to the plate to help us in this mission. And not just this mission, because we have do it for so many. Be 27 police officers and firefighters. We paid off the mortgages in just the last couple of years. So we're getting real close. We're getting real close. And I know we have a great announcement to make here in a few minutes. But I just want to thank Long Islanders. So my brother grew up after my parents died. My oldest brother, Russ, took care of my youngest brother, Stephen, out in Rockville Center, Long Island. We went to St. Agnes. And my brother taught out there, my brother Russ. And so after Stephen died, Long Island is a big part of our story, September 30th this year will be the 17th Tunnel to Towers run. 17 years since 9/11. So many schools come out here. Syosset, I just passed the exit Syosset. I said, we have to do something special for that school because they send out busloads and busloads of students. And I know so many people from Long Island come and do the run every single year. So know that when you come there, that we're not only making sure that we never forget the sacrifice that's made on that day. One of the hero, my brother, that you know the story, and you mentioned there's so many stories that are untold. Stephen's symbolic of the heroism of 9/11. He represents so many acts of courage and heroism on that day. But let's not forget the acts of courage and heroism that has been done ever since. So when you go that day and you join us on September 30th, you're not just forgetting, you're making sure that you'll never forgot the sacrifice, but you're making a positive and lasting difference in the lives of these families going forward, where we can pay off these mortgages or fix these houses or give them a mortgage-free home and be there for their families. Because you know, and I'm speaking to Rebecca right now, that we just don't pay off a mortgage and leave. We don't just build a home and leave. You become part of our family because we know what you go through, and together we could get through everything. Thank you, and God bless you. I almost forgot. I got a little carried away. I got carried away. So I get to introduce the Armed Forces Military Spouse of the Year, Brittany Boca. Come on up.
Good afternoon. It's an honor to be here today. Less than 1% of our population serves in the United States military, and it's estimated that about 800,000 military spouses serve alongside those active duty service members. It takes communities. It takes the defense community. It takes nonprofits, businesses, and organizations to come together to support our military service members, veterans, and their families. And that's exactly what Caliber Home Loans does. They are based out of Texas, and they're committed to being a trusted resource in meeting the specific mortgage needs of the brave men and women in the United States Armed Forces who serve or have served our country with resolute sacrifice. The employees of Caliber strive to be ambassadors of goodwill and financial education in our military communities. In 2016, Caliber made a major commitment to our nation's veteran and active duty military homebuyers. Since then, Caliber has earned numerous awards and has even achieved the brand military friendly. We have designated numerous community outreach projects with Operation Gratitude, and all aspects of Caliber military lending and service was developed by a veteran, with veterans in mind. As a military spouse, I am honored to be here today. I know this is not going to bring your husband back or make your grief any less. Your husband, Rebecca, we want you to know that we acknowledge him for his service and sacrifice to our great nation. We acknowledge your service and your sacrifice, and we can't begin to imagine what you and your family must be going through. At this time, I would like to introduce Joseph Ferraro, from branch manager for Caliber Home Loans.
Good afternoon. I want to thank everybody for coming here today. I want to thank Mr. Balone for always being here and always helping out the community, regardless of how busy his schedule is. I want to thank Frank for his tireless effort and the charity Tunnel to Towers. I just want to explain how Caliber hooked up with the charity, so this way you know. I received a call from a good friend, John Hodge, tirelessly calling me about trying to help out the Briggs family. And we spent hours on the phone talking, and I said, John, I'm going to do the best that I can, and I am truly blessed to work for such a great organization like Caliber. I was able to call up our Senior Vice President, Brian Bergans. I was able to speak to Brittany, and within a week, they stepped up to the plate to help us out. And again, to be able to work with this organization, to be able to work for my company, to do everything that we do for the military, I am truly blessed to be here today. So, and with that said, I would like to ask if, Rebecca, if you can come up here.
Yep, Jaden, come on. There you go, Joe.
So Caliber Home Loans wanted to make sure that they made every effort possible to help out Tunnel to Tower, to help out the Briggs family. And we were able to support by helping out in paying off the mortgage, and we wanted to present this check to Stephen Siller Tunnel to Towers to help pay off the mortgage.
Up again? One more time. Come on in.
Everybody good?
With interest now, it's $34,000.
Thank you so much.
Rebecca, hang up here just for a few seconds.
Yeah, Rebecca, just come over here.
Parents come right here too, with Rebecca and the kids.
So the great news there was, we're talking with them, I said earlier, we're getting so close. We're getting so close to be able to pay off this mortgage. And the beautiful thing about that last $33,000 is we'd like to present a certificate that the mortgage is 100% paid today because of that last $33,000 from Caliber Bank that is going to do great things going forward with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. She's right here, don't worry.
I just wanted to say thank you to the Tunnel to Towers and Caliber Home Loans for doing this mortgage payoff, because it's just very comforting to know that there's people out there helping all the military families, Gold Star families, and it's just nice to know that we can stay in our home and you want to talk? And just be able to stay in our home forever and where our memories were made, and I won't have to work multiple jobs, and I could be there for my kids. So it's just, I'm forever grateful to Frank, to Caliber, for making this happen.
She can could read it, I'll be impressed.
She knows the envelope.
The envelope, please.
I want to again thank Caliber and of course Tunnel to Towers Foundation for this extraordinary act, and thanking them for what they do and for stepping forward like this to honor the families of our nation's fallen. And, you know, it's so important that we do that. Those of us who are here at home, those of us who have not, you know, the overwhelming majority of our country who have not served, not sacrificed in this way, we owe a debt of gratitude and obligation we can never repay. But it's organizations like Tunnel to Towers stepping forward in this incredible way that honors that sacrifice. And so I want to present this proclamation to Frank and to the organization for the incredible work they're doing, represented by this action today, but that is happening all across our country from this incredible foundation and all of the supporters who help make it possible, including those who run in the Tunnel to Towers race. I am committing to run this year as well, so I am looking forward to participating. And Frank, with our great gratitude, admiration, and respect for everything you have done for our nation's heroes. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait. I was gonna put him on the spot and say, you're gonna run this year's run. So I brought some hats and shirts from Tunnel to Towers, shirts and hats, so I don't have to put the squeeze on, you're already in.
I'm in. I beat you to the punch.
And one last thing, you got Team Briggs, it already raised $13,000, Team Briggs, for the foundation, so. It's incredible. Thank you. We're good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any
it.
questions? Rebecca?
Uh,
Okay.
One. It's really,
Easy. The obvious question is how this will help you. You talk about that if you're going to be able to stay in the home. Was that going to be a challenge for you in the future to have to pay off more?
Of course, doing it by myself, you know, would be very tough. I'd probably have to have a couple of jobs and not be able to see my kids as much. So this just makes it very easy where I could be with them, and it's one less thing I have to stress over during this time.
All right, thank you, everybody.
We're gonna be running together.
All right. I got a train.